All right, I'm super pumped today to go through and share a section of my collection. This is actually the first time I've shared a section of a baseball collection. This is a part of my Indians Guardians collection, and this is specifically all of my Tops Now collection. This is my Tops Now Cleveland Indians Guardians collection, and so I'm really excited to share it and give a little bit of info about what Tops Now is and why I'm a really big fan of this model. Tops Now is a kind of a set, I guess. It's a print to order set where each day Tops chooses a handful of significant moments from the games the previous night or day and puts out some card that commemorates that moment. And you can see in the background here, you can see my cards kind of displayed, and sprinkled throughout are different parallels. So each base card usually has parallels ranging, I think, from serial numbered out of 99 down to numbered out of 1. This is really similar to Panini Instant's model of kind of creating cards to commemorate specific moments in NBA games. And it's executed a little differently to my knowledge. I'm not sure what it is about Panini Instant, but from my estimation, isn't quite the same following or enthusiasm from collectors on about Panini Instant as there is with Tops Now. And that may be a factor of team or player collectors being more prevalent in baseball. I'm not sure. And so kind of I'll go through a lot of more details as I kind of walk through the chronologically the years and the cards from my Tops Now collection. And Tops Now it's a kind of significant Tops Now for me because Tops Now first year, its inaugural year, was 2016. And 2016 happened to be the year that the Cleveland Indians went to the World Series and really heartbreakingly lost in Game 7 after being up 3-1 against the Cubs. I won't get into too much detail about that because it would make me sad, but also there's a lot that can be said. I have one card from that year, and I have one card from that year. This card from Game 7. Game 7 was a game where the Indians were losing most of the game, and then Rajay Davis in the 8th inning, when the Indians only had 2 more chances left to come back, tied the game with a home run in the 8th, kind of swung all the momentum in Cleveland's favor, and then a rain delay hit, and it kind of all went downhill from there for Cleveland. This was just some background. I mean, some of the reason that I really love Tops Now is because it does, to me, one of the best jobs in sports cards of eliciting nostalgia for specific moments of your fandom. So obviously being a fan of a team in the World Series, that's a huge moment. And, I remember where I was in that moment. Like, I remember that series. I remember, watching games at my friends' places when I was visiting home. I remember that I was on the East Coast that year, and that this specific Game 7 date was on my birthday, November 2nd. It was on my 26th birthday. I was not granted the present that I wanted, which was a Indians World Series. I remember I was in New Hampshire. I visited my brother out in New York, and we watched this game together, and it was just, the emotional roller coaster of being in that game. So I really wanted to commemorate this. I'm going to have to, at some point, release this guy from its plastic prison, and put it into my Tops Now binder. But these are usually all displayed in binders. I just have them out here right now for the sake of sharing and recording. But yeah, so this was the sole card, and I actually found out about Tops Now during this playoff run. I think as I was on the Blowout forums during the playoff run, I kind of read about and saw Tops Now, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. Like I love sports cards because they help me connect with my fandom of the teams I'm a fan of. I'm a team collector. So whether that's the Indians or the Kings. And this helps me connect is by being able to specifically chronicle moments, big moments in games. So I'm going to go through. You can see kind of that the design varies slightly from year to year. So in the next year, the Indians went back to the playoffs. You can see here, this has a World Series emblem on it. In 2017, there's an ALDS emblem from when they went to the playoffs again, and they were actually like a really strong team and were supposed to do really well, and then ended up losing to the Yankees in the ALDS, I believe it was. But yeah, so this was actually a game. I guess I can show both of these. Both of these two moments are from the same game where the Indians were down a lot. Obviously, apparently that seems to happen a lot. And then Francisco Lindor, I mean, just look at that beautiful shot, right? The Topps Now is distinguished by the full bleed photography, some minimal border work, but the full bleed photography, the date right there, and in some cases, either another photo. I mean, it's such a great photo, right? I mean, and again, I vividly remember being so disappointed in that game as the Indians were losing, and then watching Francisco Lindor hit a grand slam to tie the game, or at least to come back. I don't remember if he had quite tied it yet. So here's the swing. Here's him rounding third. And eventually the game was sent to extra innings, and Yan Gomes, the catcher at the time, walked off the game with an RBI single. And again, another image. So just such a great way to kind of capture this moment. And I mean, great photography. I mean, another great thing, right? Sports cards are great when they chronicle specific moments of your fandom. They're also great when they show really, really nice photography. And so I love that photography there. In some cases, I didn't show this. There's descriptions of what happened. So this describes in Game 7 of the World Series how the Indians were down 6-3 going to the bottom of the 8th, and so on and so forth. And it goes into the events that were chronicled here, and then eventually how the Cubs won in the 10th, 8-7. So those were those two games, those first two games in the playoffs of the 16-17 playoffs. This series of 3 here in the middle chronicles one of my favorite, probably, Indians Guardians players in the really since my adulthood, right? I mean, I was a fan of the Indians in the 90s, but since my adulthood, this is kind of one of my favorite players, Corey Kluber. He was an incredible pitcher, like one of the best, probably the best pitcher in baseball, if not one of the best pitchers in baseball for a 3 to 5 year stretch. He won 2 Cy Youngs in that stretch, and if it weren't for injuries, probably would have added a lot more to his resume. And this was when they announced after the World Series in 2017, the Cy Young finalists, there was a Topps Now card for Kluber being a Cy Young finalist. And if you got that card and he ended up winning the Cy Young, they would send you a Cy Young winner card as well. And so I like that the Cy Young winner and the Cy Young finalists are two really similar shots in different jerseys. It's kind of a cool mirror a kind of cool mirror image of each other. And then another bonus Cy Young award winner. So that was just really cool. I mean, he had the nickname Klubot, right? He was automatic. Guy was so good. And again, descriptions on the back of the card of just how good he was. That was just describing his nomination as a Cy Young finalist. And then his stats here on the back, which I appreciate, in that case, with really in a cool series of photos of him pitching in the background of that. So great. Again, like I love Topps Now because I think that even though it doesn't hold value in the sense that like I haven't looked up the value of any of these cards, Topps Now generally, I believe you can buy a single card for $10 unless it's a really high demand card. I know they started doing in Topps Now. They also started doing things that weren't baseball. So like they had the ones for the Olympics, the basketball Olympics cards, and maybe some Victor Wembanyama cards, and maybe some WNBA or Caitlin Clark moments. I'm not sure. But a single card is $10 for a single of these base cards. And if you purchase one of those base cards, you get a chance. Every base card you purchase gives you a chance at getting a base parallel, which I have here at the bottom that I'll show you. So again, just a lot of cool stuff that goes with Topps Now, and whether or not it holds the value, I really enjoy, how the role it plays, I guess, for a collection. And moving on to the next season, so that was through 2017 and 2018. The Indians played the Twins down in Puerto Rico, which is where Francisco Lindor is from. And again, I remember watching this game. I remember his at-bat, and they had just shown his family in the stands, and they were talking about how Puerto Rico really needed something to be excited about after, I believe, forget if it was a hurricane or an earthquake. I'm not sure if it says on here. No, it does not say on here. That devastated Puerto Rico, but one of those two. And so Lindor being Puerto Rican, they showed his family in the stands watching, and literally during that at bat, he hit a 2-run home run. And in certain instances, for specific, really special moments like that, Topps Now offers autographs or memorabilia cards. So here is an autograph out of 25. This is the purple parallel out of 25 of Lindor. This is the autograph version of that card that I just showed. And it's a really beautiful auto, which is rare for Lindor. He has some kind of streaky autos at times and smeared autos. So that's a really nice solid auto. And a really cool moment, I think, that was captured there. And again, all these moments so far, I really purposeful, I think, when I buy Topps Now cards, to make sure that there are moments that I really vividly remember witnessing and enjoyed watching. In that same year, about a month later, there was a Indians Astros game. I remember this one. It was at one of my wife's friends' graduations. So she was graduating from pharmacy school, and I was at the graduation watching that game, kind of peeking at it in my pocket, trying not to be too obvious. And again, in what seems to be a trend here, the Indians came back from behind to win in extra innings against the Astros. All the way in the bottom of the 14th. So this chronicles two big hits that tied up the game, Michael Brantley and Yonder Alonso. And this is kind of funny because this is one of the only, if not the only, positive moment I remember of Yonder Alonso. It's the only positive memory I have of him as an Indian. So then in Carlos Santana, he left the Indians in 2018, but he came back in 2019. This chronicles one of his walk-off home runs. Again, great shot, full bleed photos. And you can see, again, just the slight differentiation, like how they changed the placement of the date. They slightly changed the border work and like where they placed the team name and things like that. So slight differentiations year to year. It's really consistent in the sense that it like doesn't look very different from each other. You can, people would argue whether that's better or worse. I think it has pros and cons that aren't necessarily worth getting into right now. So all the ones that I've looked at so far, I purchased directly from Topps. So again, print to order. You can go online. You can actually look up these cards, find out the print runs of these base cards. First one that I bought off eBay, I just bought this rather than buying a base card to try to get a parallel. I just stuck with going after the parallel. This is the purple out of 25 of Emmanuel Clase in the ALDS in 2022. So I took a couple years off of Topps Now cards, Indians Topps Now cards. I guess by this time they were the Guardians. He pitched, I think this was the season that he was traded for. We traded some of our pitching, Mike Clevinger, to San Diego for him and some other prospects. He pitched 2.2 1/3 shutout innings. So he had a 7-out save, which is just wild, right? And again, I remember watching this playoff game, and I remember just being amazed at how impressively dominant that was. And he had a tough 2023 season after that. Came back last year and had one of the greatest reliever seasons in history. And then this year is kind of struggling again. But this one is a little unique because I think I bought this for I should have checked, but I think I bought this for $8 shipped. And rather than buy a $10 base card with the hope that I get the parallel, I just bought the parallel itself for less than the base card. And I'll talk about getting packs of cards to increase your odds of a base card or of a parallel, but that's something that I did. And can't have a series of really anything Guardians related without Jose Ramirez. Obviously, I really think by the end of his career, he'll be the greatest player in franchise history. This was 2 years ago in 2023 when he hit his 200th home run in a 3-home run outing against the Red Sox. He also had another 3-home run outing against the Angels in 2024. I want to get the Topps Now card of. And obviously a 3-home run night is special. And so it'd be cool to have both of his 3-home run nights chronicled in my collection with the Topps Now card. And so again, just like moments and games I remember watching, I try to grab the Topps Now for. The next two both came from the same game. So both of these cards came from the same game. They came from a game, you can see it here at the bottom, where the Guardians were trailing 5 different times after the 7th inning. So they went into the 7th inning trailing the Astros. Then they came back to tie the game or take the lead. Then in the next inning or in a following inning, the Astros came back again and then took the lead. So every time the Guardians came back, the Astros came and took the lead. The Astros held the lead going into the 7th and then regained the lead 4 separate times after losing it. Eventually, I think the game went 14 innings. And this is the moment of the team celebrating after the walk-off, which was hit by Will Brennan. You can see here. This was Will Brennan that hit the walk-off. It's his first career walk-off, so I thought that was really cool. Will Brennan was a prospect people were pretty excited about. It was his first career walk-off, so I thought that would be really cool. Unfortunately, didn't end up really sticking with the team, wasn't really a major league player, but that was really cool. And with that purchase, I did get a base parallel, the blue out of 49. So the first two I showed were the purples out of 25. This is the blue out of 49. Again, more celebrations here, right? Just such a cool shot, right? With the fans in the background, so cool. And my last Topps Now card is another Will Brennan card because this last moment that I captured happened, and this was last season, 2024. It was against the Royals, and he came up to bat, a pinch hitter. I think it was the bottom of the 9th. And he came up to bat, and I thought when he came up to bat, I thought of this moment. I thought, last year I'm pretty sure he had a walk-off hit, and I have the Topps Now card for it. And then again, that's when he came up to bat. That's what I was thinking. And then he went on to hit that home run. He had a 3-run home run to win the game. In this case, instead of buying a single base, I bought a pack of 5 because I don't know if this was new in 2024 or if this is how it's always been. But the more base cards you buy, every base card you purchase increases your odds. So you have the base parallels are randomly inserted with a purchase of a base card. So if you buy 5 base cards, you get 5 chances to get that parallel inserted. And I ended up happening to get this the blue out of 49 again, which is really cool because then I have Will Brennan's 2 walk-off hits in the blue parallel out of 49 back-to-back years. And I think he had 1 more walk-off hit in 2024 So after this one in 2024 that I don't have, that I need to pick up. So there are a few Topps Now cards that I want to pick up to chronicle some of those moments over the past couple of years. I don't have any from 2025, so the 2025 season, which has been a dismal one so far. I don't have any moments chronicling it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get one. I mean, Jose Ramirez had his career high hitting and on base streaks this season, and so probably going to have to fill in that gap, as well as anything else that jumps out at me. But probably I will not take the path of buying any more Topps Now cards from Topps, even though it's really exciting when, hey, I buy a $10 base card here and I got the base parallel, or that pack of 5 and I got the other base parallel. But again, what's the point? Why am I going to pay $10 for that base card when I could just get the pay on eBay? I could, so these Topps Now cards, I think I can get them for $2 or $3 on eBay, the base cards, pay the base parallel, or get the colored parallel for however much I want, or however much it's available for, and then it's much cheaper, much more affordable. You kind of lose out on buying it the day after, which is cool, right? Like the day after, it's available for 24 hours, the day after the moment. So you kind of lose out on that excitement of being able to purchase it when you're still riding the high of whatever moment is being celebrated. But again, all in all, I think the wise decision is probably to stick with just buying it directly the way I did with that Clase. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to expand that collection. I guess one thing I didn't mention, I did show the auto, that Lindor auto. The relics and the autos are really high in demand, and typically it's hard to find. So I think they are expensive on Topps website. You can, let's say something like this. I don't know. I don't want to make up a number. I don't know how much I don't remember how much I paid for this, but some of those lower numbered parallels of the relics and autos might be $200, $300, $400, $500, especially for guys like Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. They might be $1,000, but they're really sought after. And I remember going to a card show and seeing, I think it was a base relic from the World Series, and it was out of 99. I think they had it for $300, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay that. So I may have been able to get it for cheaper if I bought it directly during the World Series, but I was just learning about Topps Now. So yeah, that's kind of my experience with the Topps Now program, and that's my Topps Now collection. I don't have any Panini Instant cards for the Kings. Something about that program for some reason just hasn't ever really appealed to me, or hasn't really fallen on my radar. It does appeal to me, it just hasn't really hit my radar. But maybe that's something that I'll continue to see if I want to add to the collection. So hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day and happy collecting.